Greetings, residents of the Commonwealth. It is I, Evil William Penn. I am announcing my candidacy for Pennsylvania Senator. I was created in the alchemy laboratory of Benjamin Franklin in 1776, where I quickly turned against my creator, set out to what you now call Blair County, where I established Evil Pennsylvania, in the city, Evil Philadelphia, now called Altoona. As your senator, I will not only make Blair County evil once more, but the entire Commonwealth. Ooh. I'm Evil William Penn, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to the highly original podcast. I'm Joe Martino
Michael Ianieri.
And we're back with episode 12.
Episode 12, my man.
So
Episode 12.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going well, and we have a lot of good updates for this episode. A lot of new stuff going on with the podcast, guys, and this is our first holiday episode. Of course, that holiday is Halloween. So we're gonna, we're catering a lot of the content today to be Halloween themed.
Right. No, I think this is the best time of year, man. I just want to say that real quick.
Well, this is your favorite holiday?
This is
no?
Yeah, straight up my favorite. Yeah, I'd say Halloween is my favorite holiday.
Okay. Nice.
I love Halloween.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate it. It's not my favorite.
It's not your favorite?
No.
What's your favorite? Christmas?
Christmas and Thanksgiving, my two favorites.
Well, Joe, this is a Halloween episode, buddy. It's Halloween, baby!
No, I'm not stopping us. But real quick, guys, I wanted to fill you up. Mike and I are really excited about these two new updates. We are on Spotify now.
Yes, we are.
So, if you are an Android listener, you'll be able to access us in a way more convenient form.
Yeah, because a lot of people were saying like they didn't want to have to use YouTube. Well, YouTube's a great platform, but not so much for podcasts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew people that like kind of were not listening because they were non-Apple
right.
carriers.
But now, I mean, have no fear, we're everywhere. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I mean, that's
and we also have our Instagram page.
Right.
Plug that, and we've been pretty active with the Instagram.
We definitely have,
as of late.
A lot of content
posted some highly original memes.
Totally original.
Never
been done.
Who has ever used memes?
I think we just made up that word.
Exactly.
We should patent that word, meme.
Yeah,
it's a good word.
Speaking of patenting things, I want to get right back to that. So let's put a pin in that. I just want to do the one more announcement.
Like it.
We sold our first ad read, guys. So it's actually a friend of the podcast, Parker Danks.
Parker.
As you guys might remember, I mentioned him
a few times
earlier on. I mentioned him in the podcast, but he is a musician, and he bought some ads to spread his music and try to reach new audiences.
Right.
So we're very excited about ad reads, and that is an open thing. We're still selling them. So if you or someone you know have a product or business or art, including music or visual, DM us on Instagram, and we'll hook you up with an ad read.
Yeah, man.
So very excited about that. And yeah, so things are. We've had a very successful week.
I think the horizons look nice. Yeah. I think the skies look pretty today. It's a good day.
Exactly.
It's a good day.
Yeah. And speaking of success in and business, you had some good news today.
I did have some good news. Yeah, I mean, it's been a little. I'd say it's been a year now. I've been trying to file the name Ice Cream. Yeah, so I mean, it's been like a little over a year now. I registered a trademark for I could say what it is now because it's mine now. It's I can officially start getting the ball rolling.
You're more the legal trademark guy with this.
Right, yeah.
With this whole operation. So you probably would know a little bit more.
When
it comes to filing, anything with like business stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean
business law. I feel like Mike's our guy.
And I mean that sounds crazy to think like that I'm the guy for that job. Nah,
I know about international law.
There you go.
International politics, but that doesn't have much use on a pop culture podcast.
It's got use. Nah, but I mean we got an ice cream company coming, man. I'm just gonna be straight up with it. Called Ice Cream. Scream is in screaming in horror. It's a horror themed ice cream, kind of like if Ben and Jerry's met Count Chocula, you know what I mean? It's
Craven.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. Ice Cream, Wes Craven had a beautiful child, and it's called Ice Cream, but with a scream instead of cream. So we're really excited to roll this product out soon, man. We just, like I said, we're getting everything situated right now.
Are you gonna have like what kind of flavors are you doing?
Oh man, we're gonna do just vanilla. No, I'm kidding. We're gonna do like violent vanilla or vicious vanilla, whatever we call it. Chainsaw chocolate. You know, we're gonna have a really good one me and my brother collaborated on. Mm-hmm. Should I say it? I think I should. We're gonna call it a Krampus Crunch, kind of like a spoof off of Captain Crunch, but Krampus. And it's gonna kind of be like you ever have Christmas crackling?
And Krampus is for the listeners who don't know, what is Krampus?
Krampus is like the evil Santa Claus.
I mean, essentially German evil Santa Claus. Right?
Yeah, he's like the Santa you don't want to bring you presents.
If you're naughty, he comes.
Exactly.
To you in Germany.
Yeah, but I mean, last night though, I got this notification, man, and today it kind of officiated, and it was like, wow, somebody else.
I saw it.
Yeah, dude, you were here. Somebody else was trying to secure the name, and I was the first one to sign up for it, I guess. Yeah. Whatever. I don't know why it took so long, but here we are, like a year later. I can say, Ice Cream is coming soon, man.
All right.
I'm very excited about that.
So,
very
guys,
excited.
Be looking on the shelves like this time next year for.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Ice Cream.
Ice Cream, yep.
Oh, yeah.
I scream, you scream, we all scream. For ice cream.
Scream.
There we go.
All right.
Just plug that.
Another big thing, though. Friend of the podcast, Mr. John.
Mr. John.
Big news with him. I was talking to my parents recently, and they told me they were at his birthday party.
Mr. John's birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah. So, Mr. John, big milestone birthday. He turned 60.
Mr. John, happy birthday on behalf of the podcast. We wish you nothing but the best and many more great birthdays to come, my man.
Yeah, from Highly Original Podcast to you, Mr. John.
Mr. John.
And then, so that's kind of the news with the podcast. But as far as personal life and the weekend,
say, you got some stories here, Joe.
Yeah, I had a pretty busy weekend last weekend. During the day, I went to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair in Manheim, Pennsylvania, which is near Lancaster, like right outside, like kind of north of the city of Lancaster.
Right.
So, Mike, have you ever been to a Renaissance Fair? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what one is. I have never been though. Never been. So you have to enlighten me a little bit.
Yeah. So basically, the Renaissance Fair, it's like they kind of build a replica Renaissance European village, and it's at a winery actually.
I could see how that would work.
They for most of the year it's a winery, but then I think in fall they do this Renaissance Fair. So they have actors who are like reenactors. They're manning stores. They have like a blacksmith shop. They have jousting, and like there's a queen that will walk around, and like they'll be like, make way for the queen.
Really, they go into.
They have all this different stuff. Like if you're like a kid, you can get like knighted by the queen.
Really?
Yeah. I got knighted when I was a kid. When I went for the first time 15 years ago. So this is my second time there.
So you're a Sir Joseph Martino.
I'm Sir Joseph the Bold.
Joseph the Bold.
But now, I'm Sir Joseph the Bald.
Joe.
Wah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Little rascal.
Yeah. Well.
Always talking to me about my self-doubts, and here you are. Don't ever say that about yourself.
No.
But, man, let's hear though. Like, what was your experiences, man?
15 years ago, greatest experience, man. They had Renaissance people. I got knighted.
Right.
I mean, in the joust.
I never knew
in
this.
the joust, they behead someone, and it looked pretty real to me when I was there. I mean, that pretty good special effects.
Wow.
Like, it was pretty good. Like, you know.
Man.
Like,
Okay.
And there was a guy that looked just like Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. That, like, I took pictures with. Me and my friend were there. And, you know, at that point, and it looked a lot like Johnny Depp. It probably wasn't.
Could have been.
But, you know, Johnny Depp is known to dress up
like as
Captain Jack Sparrow
himself,
and, like, do stuff like that. So,
and no one knows if it's really him or not because it's like, oh, that's a really good actor.
But, you know, and of course, like, back then, man, like, Captain Jack Sparrow was, like, our hero.
Oh, man.
Like,
Top of the world.
When I was, like, how old? I'd been, like, 10. When I was, like, he would have been, like, you know, he was, like, an icon. But, yeah, so the first time was really fun. So the second time around, I definitely noticed some differences. So, 15 years ago when I went, the actors are in costume, right?
Right.
Maybe a few people are wearing costumes, a few guests. But for the most part, you have people in modern clothing and people in Renaissance clothing. And the people in Renaissance clothing, they're actors. And you're going to go up to them and they're going to be like, oh, my lord, nice day. You know, they're going to be in character, whatever they are.
Right.
But this time, there's like, all the guests are in character. Or not in character, in costume.
Yeah.
And it just got confusing because you're like walking around and you don't know like who's an actor.
No, really.
Who's not an actor. There was one point this woman was like talking to me while I was waiting for my lunch. And she's like talking all like, you know, British and like medievally. And I like, I'm like playing along. And at one point I like do say to her, I'm like, are you an actor? Like, do you work here? Like, or am I just talking to someone who's like really
like into this?
Really, yeah, really, like that in a nice way. Who's really into this?
You like Renaissance?
Yeah. Yeah. What did she say? I think she was an actor.
She was.
She was like, work here. I live here.
Okay.
You know. So like, yeah. I guess she was in character, but you know. So that was a little confusing. I didn't get to see a joust because I had to leave early.
That would have been cool. I wasn't thinking of joust.
The joust, as I recall, was like pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, was it?
I'm telling you,
literally a joust.
They made it look like they beheaded a guy. Well, no, yeah, it's literally a joust. I mean, it's probably choreographed though.
Right, yeah,
because jousting was like dangerous.
It's pro wrestling on horse.
You're trying to knock someone off a horse, so it's not safe.
No, I mean, not at all.
But yeah, like at the end, like they sword fought and like they like executed like the guy because I think in the story he like cheated.
No way,
in the joust or something. And they had like a ceramic head that they lifted up. Man, it was like.
And when you were 10.
Yeah.
How'd you react?
Well, we were just like, whoa,
you know.
Think,
like, yeah, right.
My mom was getting all into like the joust. Like,
yeah,
it was like, yeah,
that's
it was
fun,
good.
Man.
So yeah, I'm sad that I missed the joust. But I did have a problem though. Some of these costumes, man, they're like, there was no consistency. So you had people dressed up like the Joker. You have people dressed up like fantasy creatures, and I just feel like.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
I just feel like, you know.
Did it like ruin it a little bit?
It should be the Renaissance.
Yeah, you don't
really
gotta
be in
Joker.
Costume. It's gotta be the Renaissance.
And let me ask you this.
That's just my opinion.
Some of the people dressed up. Did you have any run-ins where you're like, oh yeah, that was not an actor? Like did you ask anybody for like, hey, are you selling turkey with legs here?
And
they were like, I don't work here. But
there was one
dressed.
guy I know who wasn't working there that I actually would have gotten a picture with, but like we had to go real quick.
Right.
But he was dressed up like Tim the Enchanter from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Do you remember Tim the Enchanter?
A little bit. I love Monty Python.
The guy who's just like, he's like a wizard at the end. And he's like, I'm Tim, and then he just like starts like shooting fireballs for no reason. And he's like, Tim the Enchanter. And like every time he talks, like every sentence, he'll just throw a fireball. Like nothing.
Was this guy throwing fireballs?
No. But I would have taken a picture with him.
Right.
But there was even this one actor that called me out because all my friends were in costume and I was wearing like a tracksuit jacket.
What'd the tracksuit say?
It said Italia.
Okay.
And he's like, this guy's like, oh, look at this group. I wonder whose idea it was to come to the Renaissance Fair.
Definitely not Joe's.
He's like, we got a pirate, a witch, a vampire, a fairy, and a member of the Polish Mafia.
The Polish Mafia.
Well, he was on tracksuit. Yeah, he was funny though. But yeah, so that was my Renaissance Fair.
I mean, you got some there, didn't you? You made a little purchase.
Yes. I bought a sword. So if you go to the Instagram, you can see me and the sword. Probably one of the dumbest purchases I ever made, and you can see me posing with my sword at the Renaissance Fair.
To make you feel a little better. Dumb, but necessary.
I can't agree with you.
What? I mean, Joe, that's a beautiful sword. I mean, that's, you can hang that up on your wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be like a decoration. It's like it's a replica.
It's sword. An actual sword and like a sword holder. What's it called? Those metal sword holder. It's like the same size. A sheath. Joe, you got a sheath. Come on, you got all this cool stuff, man. I think it's cool. Yeah. I'll buy it from you right now.
Okay. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe I regretted spending.
Maybe I'm sorry to doubt.
But anyways, all right. Okay. Yeah. So, guys. Yeah. So that's like some of the updates that we have.
All right.
It is the final week of October, which means we are ending this year's series on famous Italian Americans because Italian American Heritage and Culture Month is coming to an end.
Yes, sir.
But we have one last round for you guys today.
I loved everything so far. I thought it was really great, really informative, so I'm really excited what you got today, man.
Honestly, man, I said it before, and I'll say it to all of you again. This really has, learning about all this, really made me proud of my heritage. And I really recommend to you guys who are listening who are not Italian American, please look up your community and see what contributions that your community has made. Because I think it was really a good, exercise for me to do.
Yeah, man,
learn
for sure.
This stuff. So I really encourage
I love it. I mean, I'm here listening. I mean, I'm learning new things every time you say something.
So, yeah, that's my advice to you. So, our first Italian American for the day, I think Mike's going to like this one.
I think I am.
Is Francis Ford Coppola. So, he was born, so this is the director, famous director.
Right.
And
inspiration to a lot of people.
Inspiration
to me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yep.
So he was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1939. His father was a flautist with the Detroit Symphony. And his family is really packed with a lot of entertainers. So this includes his sister, Talia Shire.
Okay.
His nephew, who is a musician and actor, Jason Schwartzman. His daughter, who is an actress and director, Sofia Coppola. And his cousin, actor Nicolas Cage.
Get out.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
No, yeah.
That's cool.
So as a young boy, he contracted polio and was bedridden a lot. And during this time, he would put on puppet shows.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the beginning of his...
right, like with entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment.
Feel for entertainment.
And then as a teenager, he started making home movies on 8mm film. And after film school, he went on to make a living making erotic short films. So he he got to Hollywood and it was hard to find work. So he kind of found that his friends were like, hey, you can make some money off this. So, he was making these short films. And in 1963, he directed his first feature film, which was a horror film called Dementia 13. But then in the 70s, Coppola really started to find his success, and he was one of the leading figures of the new Hollywood movement.
Right.
So this movement includes directors like Wes Craven, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Martin Scorsese. So this was really where Coppola really makes his mark on cinema. So his famous films include Patton, The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2, and Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, he saw another string of successful films, which included The Godfather Part 3, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and The Rainmaker. And aside from film, which Coppola is kind of retired from now, he has a lifestyle brand called Francis Ford Coppola Presents, which includes a winery in California, which I can attest they make some nice wine. I've had Francis Ford Coppola wine.
You gotta try some, man. I didn't know that either.
It's from I think Napa Valley wine. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Gotta try that out.
So, yeah, I mean, he really made an impact on cinema. A lot of these iconic films. I mean, The Godfather is arguably one of the greatest films
Of all
time.
It is often, could say,
it's often on that list of the
greatest.
Is
referred to as the greatest of all time. Yeah.
So our next famous Italian American is Nancy Pelosi. So my dad just lowered the volume, and my mom just raised the volume.
Just raised the volume. There you go.
So she was born Nancy Patricia D'Alessandro in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
She was raised in the Little Italy of Baltimore, which is very beautiful if you ever get the chance to go. It's a nice little neighborhood.
Check it out.
And her father, Thomas D'Alessandro, served as a representative for Maryland and the mayor of Baltimore. So she grew up in like a political family. And she went to attend Trinity College in Washington, D.C., where she met her husband, and she entered politics as an intern. She moved to San Francisco in 1969, and she became a member of the Democratic National Committee in 1976, and continued to progress through Democrat leadership throughout the 1980s. And in 1987, she was elected as a representative to Congress for California, which she still is. Right. She again progressed through congressional leadership, becoming minority whip in 2002. And then in 2003, she became House Minority Leader. And I believe that made her the first woman to ever lead a political party there. Then she really made history in 2007 when she became Speaker of the House. And that is that's the first, she was the first woman to be Speaker of the House. And Speaker of the House is third in line for the presidency. Right. So, of course, now, Kamala Harris is the vice president. But up until this point, I mean, this is that's a milestone, man. Achievement for not only her but for American women.
Yeah, American women, Americans in general.
Yeah, and during her first leadership, she was a leader in the push for Obamacare. And in 2011, she once became House Minority Leader because the Republicans won. So she shifted back, but maintained leadership of the Democrats. And then in 2019, she returned to the role of Speaker, which she currently serves in. But during this second time, she oversaw both the historic impeachment trials of President Donald Trump. The first was in 2019, and then the second one, 2021, that happened after the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. And she also assisted with the passage of the CARES Act in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And she is still serving in Joe Biden's presidency as Speaker of the House. So, a lot of long political career there. A lot of it, trailblazer for women, and has been, held a leadership position through some historic moments there.
Sure, man.
And then to wrap up this is the final Italian American of 2022. Madonna.
Madonna, wow.
Yes, so Madonna was born Madonna Louise, either Ciccone or Ciccone. We're not sure if her family Americanized the last name, so it's either Ciccone or Ciccone.
So we're going to say both.
Yeah. In 1958, in Bay City, Michigan, her father was a car engineer designer, and her mother passed away from cancer in 1963, so she was left without a mother pretty early on there. And originally she went to the University of Michigan on a dance scholarship, but she dropped out and moved to New York in 1978. So after performing the local music scene, she had her debut single in 1982, and her success really began to skyrocket with the release of her second album, Like a Virgin, in 1984. So her success continued throughout the 80s and into the early 90s. And aside from singing, Madonna has acted in several films. Famously, she portrayed Argentine First Lady Eva Perón in the musical film Evita in 1996, which is a pretty popular Broadway play, I believe.
I believe so.
I've never seen it, but I think my parents did. They said it was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm taking their word.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's like, no, there's no way I'm watching that.
I'll take their word for it.
And Madonna's major impact to pop culture and music was also like attached to a lot of controversy that she generated.
Okay.
So as an artist, she was known for very like sexually suggestive lyrics, especially at the time.
Right, for sure, man.
And her use of Catholic religious symbolism was controversial. And her impact on pop culture and music has resulted in her being known as the Queen of Pop. And there was even the creation of an academic discipline called Madonna Studies. So you can go to a university and take a Madonna Studies class. And,
that's news to me. I mean,
Madonna is still recording and releasing music.
She is?
Yeah.
Madonna. Yeah. I'm a little fan of Madonna. I can't.
Are you?
I definitely like some Madonna songs.
What would be your favorite Madonna song?
Ah, man, don't put me on the spot like this, Joe. I'd say my favorite Madonna song of all time is, I don't know.
I think Material Girl's pretty. That slaps.
Material Girl, Like a Virgin.
'Cause we are living. You know, that's got a nice beat to it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna have to say, oh, the Christmas one she did, man. When she's talking about Santa Baby.
Oh.
I don't like that at all because her voice, but.
I hate the song.
I'm just trying to think of Madonna songs. I'm not a huge Madonna fan. Madonna, I'm sorry.
No, it's alright, man.
I'm sorry. You know what? Madonna's not a fan of us, so I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry.
Until Madonna listens to the Highly Original Podcast, Mike is not going to see Evita.
I'm not.
All right?
And I mean it.
All right. So, Mike, I mean, real quick, wrapping up the series, any comments, any thoughts? I mean...
I knew about Nancy Pelosi's like historic career, but it's really cool just to hear. Wow, like an Italian American was the first female.
I know.
In that. I mean, it's cool. I gotta say.
Yeah, I was like, I was a lot stopping me. Like, she was the first woman and an Italian woman.
An Italian woman, yeah. Nonetheless, I mean that's really
our community did. Broke the glass ceiling.
Yeah, like it's good to hear that, man. I think that's fulfilling to hear. You know, Francis Ford Coppola. Obviously. It's huge inspiration to me and so many filmmakers, and I mean, I'd have to say, now looking back at the grand scheme of things, I'd say he is my favorite one so far.
That we've done
that we've done, after this whole month.
Something I thought was interesting about him was in my research. He's directed a lot of horror films.
Yeah, man.
Which I did not know.
And I like how you mentioned too the class of directors he came up with. The George Lucases, you know what I mean? The John Carpenters, even the Spielbergs.
And he went to school with a lot of the guys that he would later cast, like
man.
James Caan. I think they went to school together at Hofstra.
That's just I don't know, man. Like I got goosebumps, I got chills hearing these stories, man, because it just gives you this feeling of like internal pride that like just you just feel good, man. You feel good about your people, your family, your culture. It's awesome. And like you said before, we really encourage everybody, do the research about your family's history. If you're not Italian American, do the research. You will be blown away how many cool things, all different people all over the world incorporated this country. It's like fascinating. Like it really is, bro.
Because that's the story of the United States. Different communities doing incredible things.
Exactly.
And building this country.
Coming together
into what it is.
Exactly, man.
Like, so...
I think that was a beautiful end to a beautiful...
beautiful little segment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Joe here. Are you looking for some new music? Want to get into a new artist? Check out P. Danks. He's a pop and rock musician from Austin, Texas, who has played the local scene there for several years at venues such as the Moody Theater and JW Marriott. He can be found on streaming platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Here's a portion of his song, Some Dreams, which he wrote after being dropped by his acting agency. He took inspiration from the experience and the song I Dreamed a Dream from the musical Les Miserables. Diverse in his sound, this song definitely calls to mind 1980s synthpop and alternative bands such as The Killers.
You'll find your way someday. Some dreams just cannot be. I've taken a lot of shit on top of all of it. I failed and also forget. Some dreams just cannot be.
So, Mike, going in the theme of Halloween, and since you are such the Halloween connoisseur,
Yes.
I wanted both of us to give a Halloween recommendation movie.
Okay.
So, would you like to go first, or do you want
You
me to
go first.
Okay.
I gotta think. Give me a second.
I watched a new limited series on Netflix called The Watcher, which is based off a real case where this family moved into a suburban New Jersey home, and they started receiving letters from a guy called The Watcher, and he was like, "Oh, like, I'm gonna learn what your kids' names are," and he's like, my family's watched this house for like 50 years, all these like creepy things, like, what bedroom will you choose to sleep in? All these like things. So they made the show, and in it, like, they fictionalize it and make it more scary. Because in the real case, eventually the family, like, they moved.
Right.
They never got attacked or anything. But yeah, it was really good. One of my favorite actresses is in it, Margot Martindale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little shout out.
So, yeah, she's like one of those actresses. When I see that she's attached to a project,
You watch her.
yeah. And I
got my.
I was like watching. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then it was like Margot Martindale. I was like, all right, I'm watching it.
I'm in, man. No, it's definitely like that.
I was like, if Margot said it's good, she signed on to be on the cast. It's got to be good.
You're watching it, yeah, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
and it was really good, man. More of a thriller, guys. So if you're looking for like a real horror film, it's not going to be what you're looking for. It's more of a thriller,
Right.
but really good nonetheless. 9 episodes. Netflix.
I have
The
to check
Watcher.
that out, man.
Yeah.
The Watcher. I'm gonna check that out. That sounds crazy. Like,
No,
it really
yeah.
does. I never even heard of this.
Yeah,
Like,
and like they did this like voice. So whenever they read the letter, it'd be like, "Hello, Mr. Ianieri. I see that you have moved into the house." Like it would be like something like that if he was like writing to you.
you're scaring me. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Nah. That is Halloween, so I guess everybody's entitled to one good scare.
Yeah.
Direct quote from the movie I'm about to recommend. Halloween Kills, man. 2021.
Okay.
I'd say any Halloween, Michael Myers Halloween film is just the perfect Halloween
Is
movie.
that the newest one?
It's no, it's the one before Halloween Ends, which just came out. Halloween Kills came out last year, and I just think it is obviously takes place on Halloween night, which is all the more reason, to recommend it for a Halloween, good film to watch. But it really is such a ride. You feel like you're in town with these people. You feel like Michael Myers is out to get you. And I will say, Michael Myers is portrayed by James Jude Courtney. I'd say in one of the most menacing, freakiest ways I've ever seen him portrayed. He does some truly terrifying things. It's you really feel like you're in the town. You feel like you're a part of like the Haddonfield population, and you really feel like you're trying to get away from this maniac on Halloween. I'd recommend
And it's like
that.
in this one, like the whole town like kind of rises up.
Yeah, a lot of people have mixed feelings about that. The whole town rises up
Right.
against Michael. They unite.
I didn't see this, so I just saw from what I remember of the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie
like,
Lee
returned,
Curtis
that was a
surprises
big
her role as
deal,
Laurie
right?
Strode. Yep, huge deal.
And
huge
this is
deal.
like a direct sequel, right?
Yeah, well, the one previously, Halloween, which came out in 2019, I believe, 2018 or 19, was a direct sequel to Halloween 2.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But this one's not connected.
No,
to
Halloween
those,
Halloween
right?
1. Yeah, the one I'm talking about right now is connected to just the first original 1978 film.
Yeah. But
And
it
then-
disregards
and they
all the other
disregard
stuff.
Halloween
right?
2, 3, 4, 5 throughout the years. They pick
Okay.
right back up 2018 with Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends, which just came out. Which I have to say, disappointed in. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay.
Halloween Ends. I feel
Well,
like...
I hope Halloween Kills. Yeah, you're about to be mad at me. Hope it's better than the original Halloween, man. I watched that movie, and I feel like it was 2 hours of a guy in a William Shatner mask watching a babysitter while like smooth jazz plays in the background.
Are you serious?
And I was like,
Joe,
this is the least frightening thing
that's
ever
my
seen.
that is probably my favorite film.
I
of
know
all
it
time.
is.
That film inspired me. Like there's like 3 or 4 movies that really inspired me to want to be a filmmaker.
But you,
and that's one of them.
You insulted Green Day in episode 4 of the
I
podcast.
did.
So this is
what it feels like.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah.
man, this does
How
not
does
feel
it feel?
good. It doesn't feel good. Nah, man. I love all the Halloween films, man. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
No, yeah. I mean,
I'd say watch any Halloween film.
okay.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, another great one.
All right.
Has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like Irish pagans or something.
Yeah, I'll just put it to you this way: these masks, this mask company, and it's called Silver Shamrock, and these masks possess like children. Like, I don't know how to explain.
Oh, okay.
It's a really freaky movie. Like, a lot of people hate it because it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. He's not in it at all. But I mean, if you take away the title Halloween and just call it Season of the Witch, I think it's a great movie. I think it's a fantastic movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's my recommendations for the spooky season, man. I hope people, like what I'm saying.
No, yeah.
Hope they like the recommendations.
I think a lot of people do like the slasher films.
No,
So
for sure,
I'm
for
sure.
sure.
I'm sure people will enjoy it.
Not everybody thinks it's just William Shatner running around with jazz.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it,
Yeah.
though, man. I don't think I'll be able to look at it the same way anymore.
Yeah. No. So the other thing I did this weekend that I wanted to talk about was I went to a costume party. So, do you ever go to costume parties?
I haven't been to one in, I'd say, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
But I do love going. I always, dress up as Jason Voorhees.
Okay. Well, this was like a theme one. This was the decade was 1970.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. Which is, honestly, and that kind of brings me into what I wanted to talk about real quick before we really dive into our nostalgic topic, which I'm sorry, guys, I forgot to announce at the beginning of the episode.
First, you disrespect
It's
Halloween.
the film The Witch.
The Witch.
So that's what we're doing today. But I just wanted to talk about, kind of decades and costume parties. So it was 1970s.
Okay.
I love 70s fashion. And anybody probably can gather that by looking at me.
You got the loafers, you got the nice pants. I mean, look at me, though.
Yeah.
I mean, dressed up.
You know.
I just have sneakers on.
Well, it's fine, Mike.
So.
I mean, I'm dressed up because you and I filmed some content for the
Some
Instagram.
content,
So I
you
am
did.
I'm dressed a little bit nicer
You look
than
like it, yeah.
than I normally would for a recording day. But yeah, I was just kind of wondering, Mike, what's your ideal decade that you would want to have lived in?
To have lived in
Mine is definitely the 70s.
the 70s.
Fashion, music, film, I think were awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm not trying to be copying you, but the 70s were, a great time,
Okay,
man.
yeah.
I would have loved to have been able to see, Halloween come out. I would have loved to have been able to just, hear early Pink Floyd and all these bands that now are,
I
iconic.
would have loved disco, man.
Disco, yeah,
Oh,
would love
yeah.
the whole disco era.
I
Yeah,
would
man.
love doing the disco.
I feel like the 70s were great.
Yeah.
Well, I was such a fan of that 70s show growing
Nah,
up,
yeah.
too, that, that's, a big reason as to why I want to specifically live my, teenage years in the 70s.
But something I really liked about the 70s, I feel like I wish people dressed like that because it was I feel it was the right amount of formal and the right amount of casual.
Right?
It was that nice when the ships were passing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I was literally talking to a friend, actually an old coworker of both of ours,
Okay.
the other day about this, and just kind of it was the perfect mix of casual and and
not casual, like
and like
stand
formal.
out. Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So 70s.
I just 70s were a great time, man.
All right.
Great time for music.
And with that, Mike, do you have any ghost stories you wanted to share?
Yeah, for the Halloween episode, I
remember
definitely do.
you were really like getting in on that early on, and
man.
We kind of both decided like, let's save that for
Yeah, we did, right?
episode.
Yeah.
So
I do have a freaky story, I think.
Okay.
And this happened to me a little bit after. I don't know if you remember. I told a story early on about like hearing these steps when I was with my ex.
Dr. Seuss
stepping machine, that my grandfather
Pop Giacomo established.
He thinks I'm crazy. He thinks that no, ghosts couldn't be walking up a stairs. It's a machine, a machine that want to scare you. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, to make you break your lease, right?
Exactly. So, Pensacola, New Jersey,
Okay.
we had a house, and we had a basement. It was awesome. It was like a game room. All my friends always that was a spot. We had every game system you could imagine.
Was this your house?
This was but like not mine. I was a child. Obviously, I couldn't own a house.
Well,
But my mother,
okay,
right. And awesome basement, man. And it served us so great over the years. We had so many good times in there, man. Discovered so much, like so many different songs. Just had a good time in there. And towards the end of our stay there, we were living there. We planned on moving to PA. Our sub pump kind of broke, I think, and we had like a really bad storm that year. And I don't remember if it was Hurricane Sandy. I don't think it was, but it was torrential downpours, man. Basement is flooded, right?
Yep.
So we all decide like we're gonna leave this house, like just in case like black mold or something. You don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So we ended up coming to Bryn Mawr with my grandfather, and we just kind of never went back to the house because, like I said, we were already in the transition of leaving, and then the basement kind of flooded and everything. We were able to get the water out, and we had a cat there, so there was always something living in that house. I was never truly there, like, alone. And one night, me and my good friend, man, like my brother, North Brooks, we were there, and it was like our last day in that house. All my family was in PA at this point. My cat's not even there. It's like no one's in this house, right? And me and my friend North, man, we're just reminiscing, and like we're in the basement, and all the water's out and everything, but it just looks like this horrific scene, like this like dream, like this fever dream. Like it was my basement, but it wasn't. So weird, man. Water damage and everything. And we're just sitting there talking, and I said to him, this is the first time you and I have ever been down here where there's nobody else, like not even my cat. There's no other living thing in here but us. Mm-hmm. So we both kind of got a little like our hair started standing up. Right as I said that, I swear to God will strike me down. I'll get in a car accident. Like the worst thing will happen to me. That's how you know I'm serious. Our lights, we had a bar in the basement. All the lights start flickering. And then they go back on, and then one just starts flickering. And I remember I looked at my man's North, and I was like, yo, like, I think I just said, yo. We both looked at each other. We both darted up them steps, man. And it was just not so much like, I heard something and I saw something. It was a feeling that we both felt. We almost didn't have to say anything to each other. We both knew, like, yeah, we should not be, like, something does not want us here. It was the weirdest feeling ever, man, and that stuck with me forever. Like, it's one of those things that it's more of it's not so much you see or hear something, man, but you just feel it. You know something doesn't want you around. And that stuck with me forever, man, that feeling. Like, I'll get my hairs will stand up thinking about that. I can call my friend North, and he'll get the chills right now, too. Yeah, I had like 2 or 3 experiences, man, freaky experiences that made me a believer in the paranormal. I used to love all the ghost hunting shows, thought they were entertaining, but I was just always like, nah, that's, like, I can make that look real, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you have any ghost stories?
I think I have a good one that a friend told me.
Okay.
So this, this is gonna freak you out.
Dude, I'm
Dude,
loving
this
it.
is literally, I think they could write a horror film out of this.
Okay.
So, when she was a little girl, she used to, before before she would go to bed, she would close all the doors upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Just every night, because she was afraid of quote, the monster, right?
Okay.
Like she's a little kid, right? A little girl.
Right.
You know, so that's something that little kids do. So years and years later, she has a daughter of her own, and she notices like her daughter is like doing this, and she's like, "Why are you closing all things?" And then the daughter like looks at her and says, "Cause I need to protect us from the monster. We have to like make sure the monster can't get in." And my friend at that point like just remembered that she used to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
No way.
you know, it's
That
like
exact
freaky
thing,
because it's
yeah.
like, it's not like she told her daughter, "Oh yeah, when I was your age, I used to close all the doors." This is something the daughter just started doing.
That's weird, man.
The same exact thing that my friend did when she was
as
her
a
age.
child, yeah.
And for the same rationale of, quote, it would confuse the monster.
That's freaky, man.
Yeah.
When you hear stuff like that, I mean, people say kids can see, you know, the paranormal. I don't know.
And
They
I
say
think it
kids are
was
more
like, it
susceptible.
was a moment. I think it freaked my friend out because it was like, oh no. Because it's like, it was kind of like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Was
like,
that real?
that's what I
This
saw.
thing that
That's
she
what I
hasn't
heard.
even thought about in, you know, decades.
Dude, that's
Like,
weird,
yeah.
man. That's weird, and like she definitely never told her daughter, and
Of course she did.
and like she
yeah.
just knows. Like that's so weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids don't lie. So I mean, that's freaky. Like, I don't have no explanation for that.
They don't live in that house anymore, by the way.
Good.
They didn't move out because of that, but like they just
Just so happened to be coincidental.
just full disclosure for anybody who's like worried, like, you know,
So
they
there.
gotta get out.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
Boy.
That's weird.
no, yeah,
That's freaky. That's definitely that's horror movie worthy right there.
I know, yeah, that could
Yeah.
definitely be like the beginning of a.
I should tell my last one because I have
All right.
one more. I'll be brief with it.
All right, yeah.
The same basement I was just telling that story where the flood was, you know, years prior. Me and my little brother were down there. We had a routine of watching Monday Night Raw wrestling and just falling asleep in the basement, you know. And one day we're sleeping down there, and I don't know if you remember, like, old Comcast cable boxes were, like, bulky, and they had, like, a screen on them with what channel you're on or what time it was.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Now there's just, like, nothing. So we had that cable box, and we had this old big like bubble projector TV that the cable box was on, and it was like a 50-inch TV, but you know, not like they are now. It was big and bulky and like this giant, you know, box, and like
It weighed like 100 pounds.
yeah, and it would
Yeah.
make this like popping sound
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, so one day, dude, we're watching wrestling. It ends. My brother just falls asleep, man. He's a little kid, and like he's on the couch, and like I'm sitting on the other side of the couch. We hear this pop. The TV just like does this like pop and crackle sound, and then all of a sudden static, and then blank. The numbers reset on top of the cable box. Joe, another thing, I swear to God, you could ask my brother. The numbers start going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just going up to the hundreds. Going up to the 200s. Going up to the 300s. I
Mike,
swear to God,
I
dude.
hate
I
where this is
swear
going.
to God. I'm not kidding you. To the 400s, the 500s. It started slowing down at 600. Dude,
Oh my
I will bring my brother down here right now. It stopped at 600. It slowed down at 600 and like 64. My brother remembers. I picked him up. I said, wake up! I put him over my shoulder. I didn't even let it get to 666, bro. I picked him up over my shoulder, and we booked it up them steps. And it was just one of those instances where, like, if it didn't land close to that number, I wouldn't have been freaked out, man, but it was, like, late. And like I said, the basement was always so welcoming and friendly. Like, we ended up having, like, dozens of parties thereafter. But, dude, that was freaky. My brother can testify. He remembers being woken up in a panic to go upstairs, and he remembers glancing at the cable box and seeing that number. He says he saw 666. I didn't see it. I was out. I had him over my shoulder.
And it started slowing down.
It slowed down at like the later 500s. Like, yeah, I got my hairs are standing up again. Those that's something that I'll never forget, man. That was definitely freaky. I hope that freaked some people out. It is a Halloween episode.
Hey,
You know?
that's like.
Yeah, that was nutty, bro. That was.
You went out. You went upstairs.
I went upstairs because my mother is like very not like religious, but my mother is very angelic, and my mother is my mother's like a good soul, man. And I just remember telling her about it, and she kind of like saged the house even, and like she would always do kind of stuff like that. But But yeah, we had like not too long after we ended up leaving because, you know.
I would have probably been just like screaming like Hail Marys.
Yeah.
And like booked it out or something.
Dude, it was definitely
or
freaky,
like kicked
man.
the TV or something. I would have been
like see how we are in the studio right now, from where you are to the end wall was where the TV was. Like we were on the couch.
Yeah.
And then like the door leaving out of the room was like in the middle, so it'd be like in the middle of the green screen.
I would have called the priest.
Dude, I was
like dead ass. Like I would have.
Another thing, if I told my grandfather, that's not real. Somebody's trying to scare you.
Pop out Giacomo, always there to comfort
like
you.
he's not scared of anything, but like mice, I guess.
Yeah, no, seriously, dead ass, man. I would have been like.
Yeah, he went out.
He'd been like, I'm calling the priest. I'd be like,
dude, you would have been out.
Be like, yeah, get in here, bring all the holy water.
Well, that's like when my mom came in, because my mom did have holy water. My mom did practice all that stuff. Like my mom wasn't really like psychic, like all that stuff.
Nah, yeah,
but she was just like my mom.
No, I know your mom.
Yeah, you know how she is. She's just
psychic.
like, yeah, she's like a good spirit. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like just she was trying to rid the house of any negativity, man. And I hope she did. I hope the people living there don't experience something like that.
No
dude.
offense to your mom, I would have had to bring in the big guns.
You would have had to, yeah.
I'm like, get the bishop.
Yep.
Get all of them down here,
dude. Yeah, that's something I would never forget, man. I'm surprised I didn't even mention that prior. Like that was a real.
No, man, yeah.
So, you know how like it is. You have memories, you just kind of forget, and then you say one thing, and it just kind of unlocks something else.
No, but yeah, that's horrifying.
Yeah, man. I wonder, could we segue that into the next topic a little bit?
The witch?
Yeah. Is that, Is that segueable? Like,
I would say very.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just get my notes up here. But Mike, you saw The Witch, right?
I did. Yeah, it's been a while, but I did.
And you saw it probably when it came out, right?
It came out 2015, I believe.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
I'd say I saw like 2016, kind of when it was more released. Like,
cool.
Yeah.
So it is. It was 2015. It's a horror film. By Robert Eggers. He directed it, and I believe he wrote it too. And for those of you guys who don't know, he also did the Lighthouse in 2019, which, Mike, you didn't know. That was almost going to be our topic today.
Yeah, because I know you love that movie.
Yeah, well, I love Willem Dafoe.
So do I, man.
I love Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Willem Dafoe. That's what's the movie. I heard it was a good. I heard it was like a crazy movie of like.
I would say watch it because it's a lot of interesting cinematography and direct.
And it's black and white the whole time.
It's an interesting like art piece.
Right.
But like The Witch, it's not like a horror film. It's more of like uncomfortable suspense.
Okay.
Stuff. But so basically, the synopsis of The Witch, also subtitled A New England Folktale, is a Puritan family. You guys think pilgrims, right?
Right.
If you don't know what Puritan is. In New England in the 1630s. And in the beginning, the father of this family, he has some sort of theological dispute with the church of their colony. So at this point, guys, it's like, the colonies were like these like towns. They weren't like big, like state type things. It was like these coastal towns that they had like wood walls built around. And a lot of them, like the Puritan ones, they were very strict Calvinist Christians often, and they, so I have a theological dispute that was like a serious thing.
Right. Yeah.
So in the beginning, the father basically chooses, he says to the governor, he's like, "Hey, I believe what I believe, and I'm not gonna take it back. I'm gonna take my family. We will be banished. I don't care. We're gonna be banished. I'm not taking it back." And they don't go into what his theological dispute is.
Right.
Because it's not really a big part of
that's not the story. Yeah.
But that's sort of, they are now separated from the rest of the colonists, and they go and build this like small farm out near the woods, and they quickly begin to encounter the witch.
The witch.
So basically, what happens is they have a baby that they weren't able to get baptized because they had him once they were banished, right?
Right.
And he's kidnapped, like, suspiciously in the beginning of the movie. Like, the parents are like, it was a wolf. But, like, you know, it's revealed it was a witch who was using the baby to make, like, a spell. Like I think that to be able to fly. That, like, she's using the baby. And, yeah, guys. And basically, from then on, like, things are they're struggling with their crops. They have these two twins who are, they're always playing with the goat.
Yeah, the goat. Yep.
That they call him Black Phillip because it's a black goat, and like they're always talking. Yeah, this part freaked me out, man, because this is like it's like one of those things in horror movies. Like, well, yeah, why are people so stupid in horror movies? These twins are talking to this goat, and they're telling like their sister and like their parents, like, oh, Black Phillip says I can do whatever I want. Black Phillip says that you're evil. You know, like they're always talking, like Black Phillip's talking to them. And like you don't see the goat talking to them, but these kids are always claiming that this goat is talking to them.
It's a lot of red flags.
You know, and like there's tension between the mother and the oldest daughter because the oldest daughter was watching the baby when the baby disappeared, and you know, there's all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you wanted to jump in.
Yeah. Well,
remember about it.
One thing I do remember like the most was in the trailer, and it was always like she like lost the baby, and she runs into the unknown of the woods, and the witch is there, and how you said like the crops weren't growing and all that stuff. I guess it was almost like a curse being put on the family. I guess
that's like another thing. Like they don't. It's, you know. Roger
Egger, yeah.
No, I think it's
Roger Egger.
No, it's Robert Eggers. Yeah, I think we were confusing his name with Roger Ebert, the film critic.
For sure. Yeah. I was confused. Listen down a little bit.
No, I mean that's easy. That's an easy mistake.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, Robert Eggers. I think he purposely makes this film vague as to what's real, what is. You know, is it just they're becoming paranoid and they're starving, and because they're so strictly religious, it's manifesting into them, you know, saying that it's an evil witch who's doing this to them.
When in reality, it's insanity or like
it's like pretty. They often keep it pretty vague like that, and it's very much a film of building tension and the unknown, you know, and I guess, you know, there are going to be some spoilers here.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't seen the film, I guess I would suggest skipping to the end. But, you know, eventually, man, you know, it is revealed that Black Phillip is the devil.
Right, yeah.
And disguised as a goat.
Beelzebub, yep.
And like it's just it's creepy, and like the witch comes back, man, and like, you know, one by one the family like gets killed off. It's just
man. I mean, and like you said earlier, like the Robert Eggers.
Yes.
Wanted to make like kind of blur the line of like, is this really happening? Are they being, you know, haunted? I guess you'd say, or is it like, you know, insanity? All these things.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people back in the day would debunk, or like at least now would debunk a lot of exorcisms and possessions as just insanity. But these people were surrounded by religious.
That's what they think was happening at the Salem witch trial.
Right.
It was sort of a.
See, that's one thing I remember from this film.
Mass hysteria or something.
Yeah, and mass hysteria, exactly. Like that's what I remember from watching The Witch was like. You see these crazy things happening, but in your mind you're like, are they really happening, or is it meant to? Are we meant to feel like maybe these people are like losing their mind?
So
like,
my personal reading of the film is, it was really happening.
Right.
Like it wasn't.
But when you watch it though, like for me, like I didn't know, like you did, like I didn't read anything into it. I wasn't sure. I was like, is this like? Are they freaking out? Is it going to be like one person at the end, like experiencing all this, but nah, like people are dying and
like I'd say the reason I think that it is real, is because how the twins act when they're praying over the older brother, because he has an encounter with the witch in the woods. He comes back and he's like, has all his clothes are gone and he's like dying, and like he coughs up a full apple, and they're praying, and like the twins are like, we don't remember the prayers, and then they all start like convulsing, and they're like, stop praying, like,
jeez,
it's like, you know, I mean, like that's like they're possessed.
Yeah, like I mean, that's what happens when you're possessed.
Yeah, like, and the barn, like the dad locks the kids in the barn at one point with the goat.
Right.
Dumb idea there.
Well, the dad's, I think, the real enemy in
really?
this movie.
All right, that's an interesting
for
reading.
me. Like I was just thinking, like you said, like if your kids are telling you goats talking to you, that's just a red flag for me. Like I just feel like the dad.
Because I'm like, if they're supposed to be like so religious.
Yeah, like that's a huge no.
I mean, like you would think that would be like.
Yeah, like
freaking them out, like
for sure, man. Especially telling them all this, like I wouldn't say propaganda, but like things maybe kids wouldn't know, or like younger people wouldn't know. And I hate to use a comparison of like Chucky, but I mean in the movie, Andy was telling his mom things that he wouldn't know as a young child about like his dead dad and stuff that only something could have told him, and in that situation was Chucky. In The Witch, it's Black Phillip.
Yeah,
you know, and that gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. Like a young child that doesn't know these kind of things, saying these kind of things,
dude, it gives me chills, because there's like the part when they're all locked in the barn. The older sister, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, I think is an excellent actor.
Fantastic, yeah, man.
She
sold that movie, man.
She's good in it, and they're all speaking like old English in the whole movie.
Yep.
But she was also in M. Night Shyamalan's film Split. That was the first movie I saw her in.
Split's crazy.
Yeah, which is good. That's a good one too.
Yeah, crazy.
But there's a scene where she asks the twins. Like, are the twins like, are you the witch? Because at one point she told the girl twin that she was a witch because she was trying to like get her to shut up because she was being like annoying.
Right.
But like they're like, are you a witch? And she's like, no. She's like, are you? And the two twins, they just make a dead expression. Just they both stare at her and they don't say anything. And it's that's like horrifying.
Like that's. That's like bone chilling, man. That stuff like that. I mean, that's where you got to look at the writing and just look at Robert Eggers, man, in general.
Yeah, and I mean,
he really did a phenomenal job with that.
It was kind of part of that new movement of what they call like elevated horror.
Yeah, because you saw a lot of movies kind of come out around that time and after that were not so much like you said, the elevated horror. They weren't so much like in your face, like this is what's happening. Yeah. It's more so like you got to think about it a little bit, and make your own opinions, and oh my God, this big picture starts being painted in front of you, and you're like, I was on a ride. Like, a movie like The Witch is a ride, man.
But interesting what you said about, like, the dad being the enemy. There's a point where you see him praying, like, like when the family's really breaking down, and he's like, I know, like, this is my fault, like, because the only reason that I took the family out here was pride. My sin is pride. Yeah. And that shows, like, he didn't even care. Whatever this dispute was, it was trivial.
Right.
He was just being stubborn. So this dispute he was having with, like, I guess the pastor or the congregation wasn't even like something he really like firmly believed. It was just some kind of
there's some
he was just being stubborn.
I hated that.
So that is a good. It's interesting that you say like he's the real.
Yeah, like he's the real devil, I guess. Like
I mean,
putting your kids in this.
I think the devil was
the devil. Yeah, no. But you know what I mean? Like, dude, like maybe the dad was being possessed and lured into. Who knows? But I'd say, what a terrible father. Yeah. Great acting, by the way.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who the actor was, man. Phenomenal. I had forgotten that part where he prays.
Yeah.
And I didn't really remember that until you said it, and I kind of briefly remembered. But just go back real quick, man. When she says, like, are you a witch? No. Are you? And they just were silent.
Yeah.
That is freaky deaky, man. That's eerie. Like that. I think that's scarier than my ghost story.
Yeah, I mean, and like a lot of the movie, there's a lot of commentary on like strictly like
right.
extreme religious societies,
right,
and very patriarchal societies.
Right,
right. It's kind of like a commentary on that.
Right.
But yeah, so I kind of got lost there, guys. But
no, I mean it's a freaky movie, man. Like you have every right to get lost. I keep finding myself like choking on to like what to say next. Like I don't know, man. It was a freaky movie, man.
But yeah, so we I'd say what was I kind of going with? The daughter and the mother have a lot of tension. The father. So yeah, I'd say there's commentary on like those kind of like very strict societies, but something I kind of took a little bit of issue with is like, I mean, usually in like movies with like the devil in it,
right?
If you're gonna establish that the devil's real, like they do at least demonstrate that like, like praying will like hurt it, right?
Right.
But you don't really see that in this movie. It's kind of
like
it's like very much like
unknown. Like,
yeah, so like I was kind of like I don't know, like I feel like they could have added like at least some sort of exorcist type.
Yeah,
thing,
like it's kind of like the
to,
Blair Witch Project. Like you don't even see the witch at all. You
well, like,
just
I don't know, maybe like
happening.
they say a prayer and like the black film starts like twitching or something.
Let us see something visual.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it kind of lends itself to I guess his filmmaking style of maybe wanting people to think, is this happening? Is it? I don't know. Like you said, it is happening, but
or you can even read it like this. It reflects, that kind of old school Calvinist theology. Now, guys, I'm not a theologian, but from what I know, and they talk about it a lot in the film, and it's a recurring theme. Is like the idea of Calvinism is like predestination.
right.
So, like, if you are elected by God to be saved, then you're saved, and it doesn't really matter what you do on earth. So there could be a theme if in this movie that's how that's what's true in this film.
Right.
Maybe God has damned them to
yeah,
hell.
I mean,
has abandoned them for leaving the colony because they broke with this. That could be another reason.
That's it. I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at it and think, man. It's just that's how you know a movie's freaky when you think more than.
And ultimately, guys, Anya Taylor-Joy becomes a witch herself.
Right.
And that's the final scene as she joins the witches at like a Black Sabbath, and she begins to levitate with them.
Yeah, I always remember the
pretty creepy scene.
I remember the trailer leading up to it, man. For months, I was like, dude, this movie's gonna be like one of the freakiest, man. The goat like poster and like.
But real quick before we wrap it up, when we were talking about this in our prep to the show, we were talking about the witch, and we were talking about the goat because I was like, Mike, because I was watching it and you called me to do some prep for the show. I was like, Mike, these kids are talking to goats.
Right.
And I thought, what did you say? You're like, if my kids were talking to goats,
Like,
I'd be out of there.
Yeah, no,
I'd be done. Like, we're not living there anymore.
It's a huge red flag.
Yeah, I was like,
that's.
And seriously, that's like what I was thinking. I was like, you either go back to the colony, go to another colony,
Yeah, like
go back to England, or join the Native Americans.
anything but what you're doing.
Don't continue to live in the woods by yourself.
Yeah, like, dude, like I don't know, man. That's why that dad, bro. Like, I get so frustrated with that character, man. Like, who
that's
does
like,
that?
I think, that's part of the commentary. He's like that. He's like, because they live in that very like, the dad is the. There's no arguing with the dad.
He's the kind of say-all, end-all figure in the family.
And the dad ends up getting killed by the goat.
Yeah,
pretty gory scene, actually. Like, it was
could you kind of take me to that scene a little bit? Forget exactly, man. That's crazy.
The dad comes out to find that the twins are gone. The barn's been ripped open.
Right.
And he finds the oldest daughter, Anya Taylor-Joy's, lying on the floor. And he's kind of like, what? Like, because he boarded it up the night before. because he was basically like, I don't know who's doing this, who's a witch, who are you guys just playing games with me?
Right.
I'm gonna lock you all up here tonight, and you're gonna pray and sort it out.
Right.
So then the next morning when he comes out and sees this, he's kind of like, what? And then like the goat just like charges at him and gores him.
Jesus, man.
And like he gores him, so then he picks up his axe, but he like realizes that he's just done, and he just drops the axe and just.
Hey man, he should have left when his kids were talking to goats, bro. That's what he gets.
So if you learned anything from this episode, your kids start talking to goats.
Dip out, man. Don't stay in that situation.
Get rid of the goat, or get rid of the house.
Yeah, don't get rid of the kid. Keep the kid, but the goat, the house, whatever, change, man. Like change anything you have.
You gotta shut that down.
Yeah,
you gotta shut that down.
For sure, man.
So. With that, Dennis, buddy, we're glad to hear that you're doing better, and we love you.
We love you, man.
I'd say, remember to like and subscribe to us on whatever your preferred platform is, guys.
Yeah, man.
Be that Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify. But definitely give us a like and follow on Instagram. We're posting a lot of new content. A lot of fun memes. We had one where Mike is pictured with Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, I look like Rosie and Jack Black had a child. Yeah, it was my yearbook photo.
It's wonderful. I'll be posting a picture of me with the sword.
Yeah, get to see the sword that I like that Joe doesn't like.
We're getting more engaged.
We're picking up steam, man.
Yeah. And remember about the ad reads. DM us if you want to buy an ad read or you know someone who might be benefit from buying an ad read. All right. Take care.
Take it easy. Happy Halloween.